In the world of cartoons, especially kid-friendly shows, there would be a character learning something at the end of the episode, and the kids learn things like telling the truth, sharing, be themselves, you get the point. Cartoons manage to deliver good morals. Well, for the most part, because there are some cases where the morals came across as myths, whether it was because of contradictions, characters being left as karma Houdinis, or just being poorly executed in general. Hi, I'm Hime Figueroa, and today I'm covering 6 cases in cartoons where the morals were poorly executed. There's obviously a lot of examples, but I only chose 6 because those were the ones that got the most attention out of me. Normally, in these types of videos, I only talk about one episode per show, but today, I'm breaking the rule for this video because I'm covering 5 episodes and a TV movie. Why? Because why not shake things a little bit? With that being said, let's begin! I already talked about Arthur's big hit in my video of cartoons with cases of unintentionally sympathetic and vice versa, but I want to revisit it because this is a very infamous episode of the popular artback with glasses. Arthur is building a model plane, but his sister DW keeps bothering him. When he finally finishes the plane, DW throws it out of the window and it breaks. Furious, Arthur punches her and, well, the episode goes downhill. This episode is supposed to be teaching kids that violence is never the answer, but there's 2 problems: DW and Arthur's parents. Let's start with his sister. I mean, can you really blame Arthur for punching DW? She wouldn't stop bothering him while he was building the model plane, so when DW threw it, that served as the big final straw for him. While it was wrong for Arthur to punch DW, none of this would have happened if she wasn't being the usual bratty little sister. DW doesn't even apologize, she just blames him for building a plane that can't fly along with the excuse that she's just a little girl. It doesn't help that DW gets little to no punishment. The parents said that they will talk to her, but there's no proof that they did by the end of the episode. Speaking of the parents, they're meant to teach Arthur that hitting people is not okay, but later on in the episode, Arthur gets hit by Pinky, and his parents sees this as a case of what goes up must come down, and tell him that this is how DW felt when he hit her. Because hitting people is not okay unless it's meant to teach them a lesson? Yes, the parents contradicted themselves. I feel the message could have worked a lot better if the parents punished DW for breaking the plane and felt bad for Arthur when he got hit by Pinky. But instead, you just feel sorry for poor Arthur. His sister broke his plane and no one shows sympathy for him. Heck, why are we even supposed to sympathize with DW when she purposely broke the plane in the first place? When people think of bad episodes from the first 5 seasons of the Fairly OddParents, It's a Wishful Life comes in first place, but the season 3 episode Love Struck is a pretty close second, and for good reasons. It's Valentine's Day, and Cupid chose Tootie to be Timmy's Valentine's, much to his annoyance. After getting rejected by Trixie, Timmy wishes that males and females would be separated, but that puts Cupid in danger due to the lack of love. Yeah, this was 2003, so LGBT plus representation wasn't common back then. Okay, Timmy, that was a very selfish wish. If I can't have the girl of my dreams on Valentine's Day, then no one else should. Also, Jurgen appears briefly during the song What Do Girls Love, which brings a plot hole. He was somehow okay with Timmy's wish? One of the most common rules is that magic cannot interfere with true love, but Timmy selfishly wished to separate various couples, including his parents and fairy godparents, without the nor Jorgen scolding him, in which, despite nearly killing off Cupid, Timmy is left as a karma Houdini for his selfish wish. Now, the episode has a moral that the world needs love, but there's a problem: gender stereotypes. Remember how the boyhood would be queen from season 2 teach kids that it's okay for girls to like boy stuff and vice versa? Well, this episode, which is a Valentine's Day special by the way, throws that message completely out of the window because it is filled with masculine and feminine stereotypes. Guys are gross, love sports, eat meat, and are associated with the colors brown and gray. Ladies are clean, love flowers, eat chocolate, and are associated with the colors pink and purple. That last one is pretty ironic because this incarnation of Cupid is a guy with pink hair and wears pink clothes, while our main character Timmy is a boy who wears a pink shirt and hat. The way the genders are portrayed when they get separated and later reunite is also strange to say the least. Basically, we see the genders doing pretty well without each other, but mostly when the guys throw a musical number, it's great to be a guy, which is anything but great since it's filled with manly stereotypes, until they start missing each other. Off topic, but why is Cosmo singing this song right next to everyone else? He's not even in disguise, he's completely exposing himself as a fairy right in front of all the other guys. When the wall that separated the genders gets destroyed, they start fighting over which gender is better until Timmy and later Cupid shoots them with heart arrows and start falling in love. So, long story short, boys and girls can do perfectly fine without each other until they get bored and start being flirty. Overall, yeah, this is a bad Valentine's Day special and a bad episode in general. The plot is weak, it's filled with gender stereotypes that contradict the message of a previous episode, and while the ending of Timmy accepting to be Tootie's Valentine's was cute, he still gets away scot-free from his selfish wish and nearly killing off Cupid. Every cartoon has at least an episode that revolves around taking good care of energy, whether if it is an Earth Day special or not. And the Loud House has it in the form of the greenhouse. And it was done poorly. Miss Johnson's class is taking part in an eco-friendly polar bear challenge in which they try to find ways to reduce their carbon footprint. Lincoln tries to encourage his sisters to stop using so much energy. Things go pretty well until two random kids showed up to play a video game in Lincoln's house. Why on his house? Because they're on the green side. And yes, the two unnamed kids are left as karma Houdins. Lincoln secretly takes stuff from the house into the basement until he gets caught by the sisters. Alright, here's my biggest problem with the episode. The sisters come across as unintentionally unsympathetic at the end. We're supposed to side with them when they call out Lincoln for his hypocritical actions, except the plot started because the sisters were using too much energy. Some examples include Lisa using so much electricity for science, loading video chatting with Bobby with various phones on computers just so he can view her in various perspectives, Lucy spray painting her room, and Lenny doesn't wash her hands nor take a shower. She just taps her hair while wasting water for no reason. The parents don't try to punish them, nor does Lincoln get the idea to talk to his parents about the polar bear challenge and that the sisters were using too much energy because that would have solved the problem way too easily. Because of this, the sisters also come across as hypocrites at the end, yet the episode only sees Lincoln as the bad guy. As a result, the eco-friendly environment message doesn't work well when Lincoln is powering the house manually via bicycle while his sisters didn't learn anything and resume their wasteful activities. I also think this punishment was way too harsh for poor Lincoln. I feel the ending could have worked a lot better if Lincoln would have called out his sisters on how this problem started because of them, which leads to them having an Oh, realization moment, and everyone works together to go green. But instead, I guess the episode is telling me to let someone be incredibly wasteful all they want. You knew an episode of MLP Friendship is Magic would be somewhere on this video. Twilight and her friends learned lessons on their adventures, but not every lesson was well executed. One of these cases was the episode Swarm of the Century. I always hated this episode. Fluttershy finds a cute little creature known as a parasprite. It seems innocent at first, but it starts multiplying and starts causing chaos at Ponyville. And to add insult to injury, Princess Celestia is going to arrive soon, so Twilight and her friends must stop the parent sprites before Celestia arrives. Throughout the episode, Pinkie is collecting musical instruments, and at the end, it turns out to be the parent sprite's weaknesses, and her friends apologize for not listening to her, because the episode mentions is that you should always listen to anyone, even if what they say doesn't make any sense. However, anyone who watched the episode has the exact same question. If Pinkie knew that the parasprites were problematic and that music was their weaknesses, why the hell she didn't tell her friends about it in the first freaking place? Oh yeah, because I would have solved the problem way too easily. Now sure, you could argue that her friends should have asked her why she was collecting instruments in the first place, but Pinkie should have been a lot more clear what she was doing, because here's the thing. Pinkie somehow knows about the prayer sprites being chaotic and music is their weaknesses, but instead of outright telling her friends about it, she wasted her time by expecting that everyone would instantly go out to accompany her without any context on her plan. Not to mention, despite being annoying that her friends didn't listen to her, there are two cases in the episode where Pinkie just outright ignores them.
Looks like our problems are solved. They will be with these symbols. Give me those back. Pinkie Pie, what have you done? I've lost a brand new pair of symbols. That's what I've done. Save you.
I get that the episode wanted to keep it as the big twist. Oh, and turns out that the crazy one was right all along. But if you ask me, that was a very bad writing decision. Here's what I had done instead. Pinkie warns her friends about the parasprites. They don't believe her at first. When the parasprites started attacking, she tries to tell her friends about the musical instruments, but they ignore her. When things get worse, they remember that Pinkie was trying to tell them something. They go get Pinkie, and she tells them that parasprites can only be stopped with music, which is why she was searching for instruments, but they didn't let her explain this earlier, and it concludes the same way as they did. Also, cut the Sakura scene. That was pretty pointless, and she didn't do anything useful to help them. She just tells Twilight Ponyville would be doomed, and that's it. Overall, the entire episode just seems like Pinkie was pulling a big never my fault movement, because it implies that if you know how to stop something, don't bother explaining to anyone, and instead expect that they automatically would go out there to help you. I previously talked about bubble fishes on my old channel, then on my case of unintentionally unsympathetic video on the new channel, and here we are again. Sorry if this is becoming repetitive to you, but I seriously had a handful of problems with this overrated episode of the Powerpuff Girls. The girls are doing some training exercise. When it's Bubbles' turn, they put in on level 2 because her family keeps treating her like a baby. Yeah, this aged 40 after the release of the 2002 prequel movie, where we saw the girls, including Bubbles, take down Giga Jojo. Tired of this, Bubbles becomes hardcore, but she goes too far and turns against her sisters. Yes, Bubbles taking down the monsters during the training simulator was awesome, but after that scene, the moral of Don't Be Too Tough falls apart when Bubbles becomes unintentionally unlikable and unsympathetic. Seriously, it's hard to support Bubbles in this episode when she decides to beat up innocent civilians who did absolutely nothing about her treatment. Sure, some of them were doing minor crimes like parking in a no parking zone, but that was just way too extreme. As a result, Mojo Jojo kidnapping her came across as a bit of karma because Bubbles comes across more as the episode's antagonist than Mojo himself. Normally, when a usually sweet character becomes tough, we get a scene where the character realizes that they went too far and apologize at the end. Do we get that in Bubble Bitches? No. There is no jerk-ass realization scene in this episode. So why should we, the audience, learn not to be too tough when Bubbles literally learn absolutely nothing? There's also the fact that Bubbles only returns to normal when Blossom and Buttercup admit that she is hardcore, which implies that you should be aggressive all you want and only stop when people start praising you. Never mind that Bubbles only apologized for running away while she never apologized to any of the people she brutally beat up. People have often seen the My Little Pony episode putting Yoo-Hoo down as an inferior version of Bubble Bitches. One of the criticisms that people had when the MOP episode was the fact that Fluttershy was being rude towards ponies who weren't being mean to her, despite the fact that Bubbles literally did the exact same thing and everyone praised her. But personally, I consider this episode as Bubble Bitches done right, because Fluttershy realized that she went too far with her toughness and tried to make it up at the end. Thus, her apology towards Pinkie and Rarity was earned. Bubbles didn't learn anything, so her apology at the end felt forced and came across as rushed. The last criticism I had with Bubble Bitches is how unhelpful the adults are in this episode. Miss Keane for some reason doesn't appear during the Pokegoats kindergarten scene, and like I said in my video of cases of unintentionally unsympathetic, if she somehow was involved in the events of this episode just entirely off screen, then she was being pretty useless for not calling out Bubbles for her rude behavior. The same thing can be said about Professor Newtonian, who, after the beginning, he doesn't appear in the episode again, which implies that he didn't bother to do anything regarding Bubbles' aggressive attitude. Overall, I think you can see why I don't like Bubble Bitches. I personally found Bubbles to be too unlikable to sympathize, and felt she was way too easily forgiven at the end. But I swear, I promise this is the final time I rant on this episode this 2025. Yes, I'm including a TV movie on this video, Turtles Forever, the series finale of the 2003 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon that celebrated the franchise's 25th anniversary in 2009. An accident in the Technodrome sends it and the Turtles from the 1987 cartoon to the 2003 universe. 87 Shredder and Krang free the Ultron Shredder from his exile, leading to the Zero 03 Turtles to stop him while they try not to get too annoyed by their 87 counterparts. This movie had a mixed reception from fans, and I can see why. The movie is supposed to have a message that everyone is valid despite their personalities, but it falls apart because of the poor portrayal of the 1987 Turtles. How exactly? All four Turtles are portrayed as the same childish idiot who makes jokes even when they're in danger, often make goofy smiles, and try to get pizza in front of the public completely exposed. Sure, 87 TMNT was goofy, at least before the Red Sky seasons, but they act way too goofy in this movie to the point where they come across more as parody versions of the 87 Turtles rather than, well, the actual 87 Turtles. On the other side of the coin, the Zero 03 Turtles, especially Raph, come across as rather rude here, since they spend most of the movie complaining how childish their 87 counterparts are.
Any idea what we should do next?
I know.
Other than going out for a slice?
Stop it! Stop
Stop it! Can't you guys be serious about anything?
Even at moments where they do appreciate them, someone, mainly Rev, has to remark that they're so not that good.
You know, this wagon isn't half bad. It ain't half good either.
The 87 band had more screen time than the 03 band Raphael, no last name. A lot of fans blame one of the Turtles' creators, Peter Laird, for the portrayal of the 87 Turtles. He considers the 2003 show his favorite incarnation of the Turtles, while he isn't a fan of the 1987 cartoon. However, the YouTuber Jay's Reviews said that this is only partially true because the crew only had the pilot to go off and nothing else during the movie's production. Jay's Reviews also speculated that Peter Laird probably doesn't hate the 87 cartoon like he does when the live-action show The Next Mutation, which doesn't even get to appear in the multiverse scene because of it and licensing issues. He just seems he doesn't consider it as the best incarnation of the Turtles. Honestly, this would have been perfectly fine if Turtles Forever would have also poked fun at the 2003 show, such as someone saying the catchphrases, "What the show" and "It's Ninja Time" sounds stupid. But aside the Mirage Comics counterparts calling them Zeldas, the movie single targets the 80s cartoon, so it comes across more as a giant take that than a homage. As it follows a pattern of the 87 show is stupid and childish and the 03 show is cool and edgy. For example, the 2003 Turtles point out how silly 87 April's yellow jumpsuit is, only for 03 April later show up wearing a yellow jumpsuit. It doesn't help that the 87 Turtles don't get any character development. This is best seen when the 2000s Turtles tell them that Ultron Shredder is more dangerous than their Shredder, so they put their hands together, which makes them seem like they're going to take things seriously, only for them to go back at being silly. Contradictions forever! Am I right? Dear Princess Celestia, today we learned that in order for the viewers to learn something good, the writers need to avoid contradictions, let someone get away scot-free, or doing dumb stuff like avoiding giving context of a plan just to keep it as a twist. If they want us to learn something, they need to execute it correctly. Yours truly, Twilight Sparkle.